It is with heavy heart that again I find myself reporting on a crime against signwriting. And yet again, the victim of this transgression is a vintage railway carriage. But this is not just any old railway carriage. This one was used by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II on her Coronation tour of the province back in 1953. So please join me and see if I can restore this alphabetical abomination to its original 1953 condition, and make it once more truly fit for a queen.
Greetings, brushketeers, and welcome to another traditional signwriting lesson with John Boy.
What about you? John Boy from Titanic Town Sign School at your service. On arrival at the scene of the crime, I can immediately see that one of these have-a-go heroes has attempted to restore the signwriting with self-adhesive vinyl graphics, or, to use the vernacular, stickers. And combined with shading that looks like it was done with Tipp-Ex and a Sharpie, this misguided endeavour at restoration is nothing short of criminal. But that's enough of focusing on the negative for now, so we'll get on with it and start peeling off the gold stickers. In my recent videos on a similar subject, the atrocities had taken place in County Down. But now we find that the transgressors' tentacles have found their way north of Belfast and into County Antrim and the coastal town of Whitehead. With all the stickers completely removed, I can now leave this in the capable hands of Jill the painter. She will sand and paint the carriage in its livery of royal blue and make it ready for signwriting on my next visit. So, returning a couple of weeks later to a cleaned up crime scene, I can now start the restoration in earnest. Unfortunately, I have no video of the image transfer and lettering process, as the footage has been lost to cyberspace. But it was basically the same as how I did it in the Victorian and Edwardian railway carriages video, and for the same reasons. So if you haven't yet watched that one, then I would advise you to do so. So, having already first coated the lettering in metallic gold enamel, I can begin the blocking out of the letter, which will ultimately consist of the following: a right-hand angled block shadow in light blue with mid-blue lowlights, a left-hand cast shadow in black, and a white right-hand edge highlight. As you can see here, I have marked some of the shadow lines, but they are really just as a reminder that this lettering will have a right-hand shadow rather than my usual left-hand one. The block shadow is constructed from roughly 1.5 widths of the brush, which is a number 6 lettering pencil. Pure red sable, of course. By the way, these letters GNR stand for Great Northern Railway, just in case you hadn't guessed. Although I try to keep the touching edges between the shadow and letter pretty accurate, it's not the end of the world if I encroach slightly into the letter face at this stage, as the second coating of the gold will naturally trim any less than perfect edges. Hanging as part of this museum display is this beautiful old hand-painted sign advertising a special Coronation ferry service sailing across the Irish Sea to Lancashire on the 31st of May 1953. Presumably intending to link up with a British Railways train to London for the coronation, which would take place a few days later. The only other lettering to be done for this commission is the fleet number 50 at each end of the carriage, which is treated in exactly the same way as the main lettering. This is the same carriage, possibly in the 1980s, after a previous restoration to its pre-1950s livery. Just as I begin to think that everything is going really smoothly, I am quickly brought down to earth by these signwriting demons that like to rear their ugly heads every now and again and throw an obstacle in your way. This time an obstacle in the shape of a sloping platform handrail that cuts diagonally across my workspace. It may not be evident from the video, but this was extremely awkward to overcome. So while I battle with this encumbrance, I'll take you on a wee quick tour of the carriage. And climbing aboard, we are first confronted with two wooden chairs with hand-carved GNR logos. Yes, I'm still struggling with the handrail, and I have even had to resort to holding my brush way up the handle like one of those crazy self-proclaimed signwriters who lurk in the dark corridors of Instagram and its like. But note how I utilise my surroundings, in this case the actual object that is causing the obstruction, to my benefit, by using it as a type of makeshift mahlstick come armrest. Having overcome that hurdle and realising just how awkward the left-hand fleet number was to get at, I decide that I will start the cast shadow at this end, for no other reason than to get it out of the way. Continuing our inside tour, we are immediately confronted with evidence that possibly debunks an age-old myth about the royal family. Passing into the lounge area of the carriage, we see the restored tub chairs, which were no doubt used by the Queen and Prince Philip to relax. Various ephemera graces the walls and desks, but pride of place in the corner is this period Bakelite television set showing the original broadcast of the coronation. Still suffering the slings and arrows of outrageous handrails and still utilising the acrylic nails brush hold, I soldier on in the knowledge that I will soon be done with this part and the rest will be relatively plain sailing. So with that finally dealt with, 'tis but a short walk to the far end of the carriage where I can add the cast shadow to the other number without fear of hindrance. As I continue the restoration, I'll take this time to show a few of the other signwriting commissions that I have had the pleasure and privilege to work on at this museum. starting with the 22 carat gold lettering on the saddle tank engine for the Londonderry Port and Harbour Commissioners. Anyway, the black cast shadow is slightly wider than the block shadow, but it is constructed in the same manner, 2 overlapping widths of a number 6 lettering brush. Note I haven't really gone overboard with marking out the cast shadow, as it is basically done by eye. The large format square type lettering on this oil tank for Irish Shell was struck out first before outlining with a number 8 and then filling in with an 1.5" paintbrush. Again, the large format block lettering on this Great Southern and Western Ballast Wagon was drawn out chalk first before outlining and filling in with a paintbrush. As with the light blue, this black shadow can also be trimmed as required with the gold top coat. Note here that I have the shadow being cast from the back of the letter on both sides, whereas on many other similar examples of my work I have chosen to have such a cast shadow emanating from the back of the letter on one side, but from the face of the letter on the opposite side. But which is right and which is wrong? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Who knows, maybe I'll do a video on it one day. Down the platform sits this 1950s dining car in London, Midland and Scottish Railway livery, which bears my freestyle lettering. Apparently this was also part of the Royal Train in 1953. Special care must be taken when using enamel paints in cold weather, especially when working in large unheated sheds such as this in the middle of winter, as I am doing here. Paint naturally takes longer to dry in cold weather, and there's always a high risk of runs and sags in the period between the paint's application and when it begins to skin over. So I need to keep an eye on everything that I've just done. As I near the completion of the cast shading, you can see the 3D effect beginning to take shape, but the paintwork thus far will need to be allowed to dry overnight before continuing with the rest. So with the previous day's paintwork completely dry, I begin to add the Lowlights in a mid-blue, mixed by eye to be slightly lighter and greyer than the royal blue of the carriage panels. This lowlight will be a relatively simple but effective process involving what amounts to a partial darkening of what would be the undersides of the three-dimensional letters. This partial shading will prevent these undersides from being lost against the colour of the substrate. And here we have another LMS Northern Counties Committee carriage, which sports my freestyle lettering. This third class example is of 1930s vintage. By the way, you can find out more about the history and restoration of these and many other wonderful things by visiting the museum's website, www.steamtrainsireland.com. Or if you're ever in the area of the Antrim coast, then why not call in and see these historical items in person. It's really starting to take shape now, but as with many examples of the fancier types of signwriting, it can often take until the very last brushstroke for everything to come together. So with that part done, I now soften the low light by adding a thin line of a slightly lighter blue as shown. And while I do that, we can have a quick peek at this Guinness grain van, built for a Great Northern Railway in 1911 and used by the Guinness Brewery in Dublin. There is some old footage of me lettering this wagon on my channel if you would like to see how it was done, so have a look. When money's tight and hard to get, and your horse has also ran, when all you have is a heap of debt, a pint of plain is your only man. And this is the original 1911 spec sheet that I was working from. With the low lighting completed, it's now time for the highlighting. And the highlights are again a simple affair, consisting of a fine line of white along the edge of the letter face in specific areas relating to the hitherto unadorned parts of the light blue block shadow. Angled flecks of white are also added to give a bit of sparkle to the overall design. And if you've been thinking that the gold letter face has been looking kinda rough throughout this video, well, just watch the transformation as I add a relatively heavy coat of the same metallic gold to the face of the letter. Please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. You never know, you might just learn something. And so, I hope that my actions here as judge, jury and executioner have gone in at least some way to atone for the crimes against signwriting witnessed at the beginning of this video. I also hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll join me again.